If you've been following my channel closely for the past few months, then chances are you've come across my stream playlist or maybe even joined one live. These are usually weekly events where I hang out with my viewers in the chat and we talk about all kinds of stuff. I get asked a lot of fun questions, like if there have been any updates to past lost media topics. However, there's been one question specifically that's come up in almost every stream I've had recently. What's my most wanted piece of lost media? Something that above all else I wish was found. My first thoughts about this question were rather simple answers, like the Jimmy Two Shoes pitch pilot or the Batman Fights Dracula Filipino film. And while these topics are on my list of most wanted pieces, I wouldn't say they are my most wanted. That spot has to be reserved for something I've been wanting to find for much longer or have a deeper attachment to. I looked back through my catalog of videos and nothing really struck me as my definitive most wanted piece. Until I reached the content from 3 years ago, around the time my channel first started gaining popularity. It was then I remembered a topic that slipped through the cracks for how long ago I covered it, and began to wonder, how the heck has this not been found yet? The topic I'm alluding to, and what I can answer as my most wanted piece of lost media, is Meso Blues, an animation that acted as the precursor to Johnny Bravo, which is one of my favorite cartoons. Though the story of this short is not as simple as you might think, as there are a lot of layers to its creation and reason for becoming lost. So let's start at the beginning. In 1993, Johnny Bravo creator Van Partible was a student at Loyola Marymount University, pursuing a career in animation. Before graduation, as part of his senior thesis project, Partible decided to create an original animated short about 3 Elvis impersonators who fought crime, known as the 3 Elvi. However, Partible thought it was too ambitious as he was the only one working on the short, and so the idea was reworked to include only one Elvis, who was then described as an over-the-hill aging rock star who thinks he's Elvis. This became the elusive Meso Blues short. Now, during the short's creation, it was only intended to be used as a senior thesis, and never pitched as an actual cartoon. However, Partible's animation professor at the time, Dan McLaughlin, showed the short to a friend working at Hanna-Barbera Productions, who then fell in love with it. Coincidentally, they were looking for new cartoons to air on the newly launched Cartoon Network channel, and as a result, asked Partible if he could do a pitch for a 7-minute cartoon using Meso Blues as the basis. He agreed, though several aspects of the short were changed to fit this new pitch. The biggest change was that of the Elvis impersonator becoming more of a 50s iconic James Dean character, though still retained the classic Elvis-sounding voice. Eventually, this new pitch officially aired on What a Cartoon in 1995 and resembles Johnny Bravo as we know him today, leading to the successful 7-year run of the show. While the Johnny Bravo series is available for viewing on streaming services, and the What a Cartoon pilot can be seen online, Meso Blues has never been officially released, and to this day cannot be viewed in full. The stories surrounding its availability and reason for being unreleased are up for debate, as there's been a lot of information thrown around when it comes to these factors. Beginning with its availability, it should be stated that Meso Blues has never been aired publicly, much less on TV, despite claims that it made scarce appearances on What a Cartoon and even Boomerang. The short was only ever documented to have been shown behind closed doors to the Hanna-Barbera executives at the time of its pitch, and never again. This is why the reworked Johnny Bravo pilot from What a Cartoon exists in the first place. However, that's not to say that some pieces of Meso Blues haven't found their way out. Most famously, this instance occurred in the Bringing Up Bravo documentary included in the Season 1 DVD release. Van Partible discusses the origins of the character, to which Meso Blues is directly mentioned and appears on screen for a few moments. These clips give us our first and only look at the animation quality and Elvis impersonator. However, the clips are muted and there's not a lot that can be seen here, but it does very much retain the feel of the final show. When this resurfaced thanks to Yoshi Killer 2S a few years ago, it was a huge break in the search for any of its content. Other than these clips, there's only been one other instance of Meso Blues content finding its way to the public, and this time it's in the form of animation cells. When Meso Blues was created in the early 1990s, animating using cells was the industry standard, so it makes sense that cells would exist. In a promotional video from Loyola Marymount University that describes the creation of Johnny Bravo, a total of 4 animation cells are shown on screen, as partible details where the idea for the character came from. These cells are of exceptionally high quality, which leads me to believe they must have been scanned for this video, as they've never appeared anywhere else. While this unfortunately concludes all of the Meso Blues content currently available, the existence of these cells and their high quality leads me into the reasons for why the short was never released and where we might be able to go for a copy of it. Firstly, these cells have been around for years and have been archived in the Lost Media Wiki article for equally as long, yet Meso Blues was produced in the early 90s. Does this mean there are more cells hanging around somewhere that could be archived? Well, technically yes, and it's believed they're in the hands of Van Partible along with the short. For almost as long as people have been searching for Meso Blues, it's been speculated that Van Partible himself owns the only copy of the short in existence, and all the animation cells that go with it. While Partible has never outright said this is the case, I do believe it's likely to be true. Since the short was his senior thesis project, and shown to Hanna-Barbera in a passing manner, I don't have any reason to believe they held onto a copy, or that Cartoon Network would have one in their archives. I've tried to get in contact with Partible for years, but I've always come up empty-handed. He has ways of being reached, but he doesn't seem to openly answer questions about Meso Blues, despite the interest in it. This leads me to another portion of the mystery in why it hasn't been released yet and isn't even mentioned by name very often. This is clear on Partible's own website. It's commonly believed that a large reason why the short remains unreleased is for the fact that Partible doesn't think it's very good in the first place, but also that an Elvis song called A Mess of Blues was used in it, and prevents Partible from legally releasing it. In the past, I've looked for evidence that supports either of these theories, but I've largely come up with nothing, so I should state that both of these claims are heavily unverified. I'm not sure how anyone is to know that a copyrighted song was used in it, considering we've never seen more than a few seconds of it, though I could maybe believe Partible is worried about releasing it as a result of its quality. We can't forget that it was a one-man project he made almost 30 years ago that was never intended to be used as a pitch for anything. I can understand him not wanting to release it for these reasons. However, as I stated earlier, I don't believe he's ever gone on record saying this was for sure the reason. Now, you might be asking yourself at this point in the video, LSuperSonicQ, where's the searching? Who else can we contact in hopes of getting this thing found? And that's what I'm about to tell you. This is a very odd case of lost media. While we don't know for certain if Partible is the only person who has a copy of the short, we can pretty much confirm that he does have one, considering it was his college project, and he's never suggested that he didn't have a copy. If anything, I think those clean animation cell scans cement this idea. But what about his animation professor, Dan McLaughlin, or Buzz Potomkin, who was one of the people to watch the short at Hanna-Barbera at the time? Even if they don't have copies of the short, maybe they could give us some more information about it. Well, there are a lot of roadblocks to contacting more people here, mostly in the fact that a lot of them have passed away, most notably Dan and Buzz. Even if they were still around, however, I've always felt weird about navigating around Partible to his closest peers that helped put Johnny Bravo together and try and get them to leak it without Partible's blessing. Still, I stand by my theory that copies of this short weren't passed around and archived, so the likelihood of more copies being out there is pretty slim anyway. Though, in keeping with the idea that Meso Blues simply exists outside of Van Partible's archives, is something worth looking into. A few months ago, one of my viewers messaged me from Loyola Marymount University after hearing about the search for Meso Blues. He was a student there and really curious about whether or not the campus had anything archived from the short. He searched through the library and other archives of work, but unfortunately came up empty-handed. My mind would have been blown if Meso Blues had been sitting at the university for all these years and no one thought to look, but that doesn't seem to be the case. It seems like Van Partible is the only chance of getting this released, and since he's still in the animation business and has a lot of pride for Johnny Bravo, I think that could happen someday. Remember, Maxwell Adams released his Billy and Mandy College short a few years ago, so hopefully the same can be done here, and we can archive this piece of Cartoon Network history for everyone. I've been wanting to watch this ever since I first found the Lost Media Wiki article, but until that day comes, Meso Blues will remain a mystery. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to check out some of my other game-related Lost Media videos. Thanks for watching, and until next time, Finn.